That's why it's so important to have people that have your back. So, tonight we are diving into the cash flow, okay? Because a group home isn't just about care. A group home is also about cash flow. And just know that if you can't measure it, you cannot manage it. And so that is one of the biggest questions that I get routinely is, oh, how much money do I need? Or how much money is this going to cost me? Or how much is it going to run? And it's like, I can't give you specific numbers because I don't know your whole situation. I don't know what the cost of your home is. I don't know what area you're in. You may be on the East Coast or the West Coast where it's more expensive. Or you may be in the South where it's cheaper. You know, the cost of living may be higher. You may pay people $12 an hour where in Arizona they're getting $16. So I really can't give you a definite number, but I am going to go over like percentages for you guys. So you can take that information and you can run with it. So yeah, so I'm diving right into it tonight. But let me do a little housekeeping right now because I just need to let you guys know I will be in Tennessee the 19th and 20th. So I will be in Nashville, Tennessee, speaking at the Hoots, which is the homeowners of Tennessee brunch. It is going to be the 19th and 20th. So I will be there with Coach Courtney, and we will be hanging out in Tennessee for 2 days. There aren't any more live tickets available, but if you're interested in doing the virtual, there should be a link somewhere in our private community, and you can click on that and you will be able to show up virtually. But I don't think there's any in-person tickets left. Also on October 4th, I will be in the Dallas area. I will be in Frisco, Texas, speaking at the Ultimate Entrepreneur Seminar in Texas. And that is with Coach C. Whoa, 2 Coach C's. And so just to let you guys know, I think there's under 10 tickets left for general admission. But all the vendor spots, all the VIP, all of that is sold out. But we do have general admission left, and I think it's under 10. So if you're interested in doing that, make sure you go ahead and secure your tickets soon, because this is going to sell out. They're both sold out because that's what we do. But anyway, so like I said, tonight we're going to go over kind of like budgeting, but just to give you guys like a reference of what you would expect to pay out in percentages. Because the thing about it is, and this is if you're running like a 24-hour home, okay? So just know that. I know some of you have chosen to do lower level homes. That's fine. You know, it's just this is based on a 24-hour type care. And so and then I'll kind of go over typical expenses categories. I have my bookkeeper send me like a list of my regular expenses so I can give you guys an idea of things that I pay, because you may not know that this would be an expense. You know, because it's not just home expenses. There are expenses because this is a business, you know. And so, yeah. So just to let you know, there are basically 5 main buckets. 5 main buckets that the expenses fall into. That's going to be your housing expense. And if you guys have questions while I'm talking, you know, you can ask any questions. Hopefully you can hear me now. Okay, great. All right, awesome. Thank you. That's what I said. It's good to have people that have your back, because I had no idea. I would have made a whole video and nobody would have heard me. So thank you. So housing would be first. That, of course, because you need to have a house to have a group home, right? So housing expense, you should expect to not spend any more than 25 to 30% on housing. So whatever your income is, do not spend 25 to 30% or more than that on housing. Okay, and that when I say housing, I'm talking about your rent, your mortgage, your utilities, basic housing and maintenance, basically, which could be lawn care. I pay for lawn guys to go do my lawn, and so that is a part of housing, even though I categorize it under maintenance. So just know that. Then staffing. Your staffing is going to be your biggest line. Those of you with 24-hour homes, those of you who only have to have people like popping in, that's going to be different for you guys. But your staffing is going to run you about 40 to 50% of your income. And that's wages, payroll, taxes, benefits, training, all that's included in staffing. That is going to be your biggest expense. That is my biggest expense. Okay? And just to let y'all know, I surveyed, because I always try to stay in the know. So actually I didn't survey, but I had somebody survey all the different group homes and things in the area. I pay the highest. Hands down, I pay the highest. Yeah, that's one of my biggest expenses. 40 to 50% of, what comes in is going out to pay employees and taxes. Because them taxes, whew, people don't realize, your payroll that you actually pay people may be $30,000. Your taxes on top of that's going to be about 10. So just expect whatever your payroll is, and I'm just giving a rough estimate. I'm not giving definite numbers, but it is around that much. So when you do payroll, they're pulling out what you owe people plus the taxes. And yeah, it be high. It be high. The next is food and supplies. That's number 3 in my 5, buckets of expenses. So food and supplies is going to be your groceries, your toiletries, toilet paper, paper towels, whatever, resident essentials. If you buy for your residents, you may not buy for your residents. I don't normally buy for my residents unless they don't have any income. And then my nonprofit actually donates to the group home. So those people that don't have income can have hygiene products. And so you do that the way you want to do it, but you will be responsible. I mean, if people don't buy deodorant and soap, you're not going to have a happy house. So make sure you're responsible for that. And then insurance and compliance is going to be number 4. That's about 5 to 10%. Sorry, did I tell you guys what food and supplies is about 10 to 15%. Mine falls on the lower level because I told you guys I have accumulated different relationships where my grocery bill is really low. So, insurance and compliance is number 4. That is 5 to 10%. That's going to be your liability insurance, your workman's comp, your licensing fees, your whatever else that you need. That's going to be in that insurance and compliance. And then number 5 is admin and miscellaneous. That's going to be about 5 to 10%. That's office, supplies, tech, any of your software, marketing, transportation, all of that is going to be in that 5 to 10% bucket. And so I just want, like I said, I'm going over this because I always get the question, like, how much am I going to be spending? How much? No, I can't give you that because everybody's bills is different. That's just like, I was talking to a young lady and she was telling me about her bills. And I was just like, because she was, I mean, this is the thing. Her bills is her bills, and that's her perception. But she was telling me her basic bills for her household was a little under $3,000. And so she was, asking for my advice and this and that. And I felt led to share to her that my basic bills are 4 times what her basic bills was. And so I was just like, I know it's stressing you out, but I know if God makes a way for me with 4 times, I know he can make a way for you because he can. I said, so don't let it overwhelm you. And so that's the thing. I can't tell people what the bills, what the expenses, exact dollar amounts is going to be within your group home because it's going to depend. I need my shirt. It depends. It's going to depend on a lot of factors. Where you're at. What type of home do you have? How big is it? How many people? All of that. It's going to depend. So I'm giving you guys percentages so you can know when you're doing your expenses, if you're falling within that percentage, if you're going way above it, and if you need to tighten your budget to bring it back down. Okay, so that's why I'm doing that. Tanya said, my liability insurance is so high. Girl, don't play. Don't let me flex on you on how much I pay for liability. No. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I could probably buy a Tesla with how much no, I'm kidding. Yeah. For behavioral health group homes, liability insurance is very high. And so, yeah, I can imagine and just multiply it. Yes. And that's why I'm doing this, Tanya, because I figure, you guys can base what you're paying based on my, the percentages that I'm giving. And so let's do kind of like a deep dive, just to kind of go over different things. So when I talk about staffing, don't forget, it's going to be your biggest line item. Staffing is normally your biggest line item. Unless, I know Mahogany. Mahogany only has to check on her people. She's doing more of a, independent living type thing. Your staffing may not be that much. But for somebody running 24 hours a day, your payroll will sneak up on you and punch you in your throat. So you just got to be prepared. All right. Expect the 24/7, do that 24/7. I always tell people, take $20 an hour, multiply it times 24, multiply it times 7, or multiply it times 30. That's kind of what you want to budget for payroll. Because in a 24-hour house, because that's 24 hours a day. And I just say $20 an hour because I'm doing it based on your income plus taxes. So you may not pay $20 an hour. You may pay $14. But you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just preparing people. So I just to make it nice and even, $20. $20 an hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Multiply it, and that's your number for payroll. Okay. Housing. Don't overspend on the property. I've seen people get group homes come to me and they're like, well, yeah, I just signed the lease. And then they're like, but I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to pay this $6,000 a month. I don't know how you going to pay that $6,000 a month until you get licensed. You shouldn't have signed no $6,000 a month lease. You know, if it's that much, unless it's just, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? Like a 10 bed, I already got the sprinklers in it. And you doing private pay. Yeah, you might be able to get a client within, get the house up and running within 30 days. But if you're applying for a license, you don't know when you're going to get that license. And you're going to be responsible for that rent. So my suggestion is maybe make an arrangement with the landlord. Hey, can I pay you less rent until I get licensed, until I get a client? Some landlords are open to do that. You just got to know how to talk to people. But don't overspend. I have had people do that, and it's like, well, Myrrie, you told me that I could make, yeah, but that don't mean jump into it like paying $10,000 a month, because you have to be responsible for that. And just think, if it takes you 8 months, you've already paid out 40 grand. If the lease is $5,000, you've paid out 40 grand before you even got licensed. So think about that when you're looking for property, because a house that eats up 40% of your revenue will kill your profits. You're going to have to make up all of that money once you start getting reimbursement. And so you just want to make sure you're wise when you are looking for housing. Do not let your housing be 25 to 30% of what you think you're going to make, or what, when you're setting up a group home, you should already know the going rate for whatever type of group home you're doing. So don't let your lease be more than 30%. That should be the max. It should not be more than that. That's really personal and business. You know what I'm saying? All right, so food and supplies. Your budget per person, I put down, should be at least $200 per person that you're going to have in your house. Now, like I said, I don't spend that much on groceries because I got out there, I built relationships, I'm hooked up with pantries, I do all the things. Don't be too proud to build relationships where you can supplement that. Food is expensive right now. And your goal as a business owner is to what? To cash flow, to profit. Therefore, you need to keep your costs down by any means necessary. And I don't mean digging in the trash to feed people. I mean building relationships. You get what I'm saying? Don't be out digging in no dumpsters. All right. Don't do that. But anyway, so budget that. About $200 a month per person. That's how much. So if you got 5 people, you should at least expect to spend about $1,000. Now, you can have a house manager like I do, and I give them a budget. And if they stay under the budget, guess what? You get a kickback for staying under the budget. So that's something that you guys can implement. And then insurance and compliance. It ain't really no way to get around that, y'all. With insurance, it's going to protect you from fines, lawsuits, shutdowns, all of that. But there's really, all you can do is shop around. And I know Tanya's on here. It took Tanya a while to find someone to insure her group home. And so just know, with insurance, it's going to cost you. And you got to pay. Because most states, if you don't have insurance, they will not license you. Like, you have to, in Arizona, I have to put Access, the payer, on my insurance. Yeah. So I'm saying you have to have insurance. Like that's like a non-negotiable. You have to have insurance. And if you don't, they can literally shut you down. So keep in mind, you got to keep insurance. And then admin, miscellaneous, stuff like software, marketing, your vehicles, all of that. You just need to plan ahead. You need to find a good, I always tell you guys about CareSoft. CareSoft is very reasonable. Plus it is software that we basically have worked with them over 7 years to get it right. It's very user friendly. And so, and like I said, the cost. So you want to be mindful when you're looking for different platforms, and there's not a lot of things that you need. I would suggest a CRM, customer retention manager. I think that's what it stands for, but it's a CRM. I would suggest that just to keep up with your, but try to find one. AppSumo is a good place to go to look for apps. AppSumo. It's a good place to go look for apps because you end up getting them at a discounted rate, or you end up getting apps that are like just coming out, and you might be able to buy a lifetime for like $99. So things like that can help you to keep your costs down. When it comes to vehicles, of course, you're going to have to insure it. You're going to just keep up on the maintenance. My fleet is not like the newest van and nothing like that, but I keep up on the maintenance. I make sure that they're washed. I make sure that they're clean and things like that, so they'll last you a long time. You know, I have one van, I'm just surprised it's still running, but it is. And even when I take it to the mechanic, they're like, wow, this van runs really good. It does. And it's been up and down the mountain. It drives 200 miles, 2 hours to other locations, and it runs really good because I've kept up on the maintenance. And so that's going to be an important part of the admin, miscellaneous, maintenance, wherever you want to put it part. All right. So just to give you guys kind of like a sample budget, say if you're earning $30,000 a month within your group home. So when it comes to staffing, 45% would be $13,500 that you're spending on staff. And that's training, that's, that's your salaries, that's overtime, that's all the things. Housing, your housing, 25% should not be over $7,500. Okay. Food and supplies, 12%. That would be $3,600. And when I say supplies, I'm talking about mattress pads, sheets, anything that you need to use within your house. Swiffer, mops, brooms, dustpans, all of that. $3,600 a month. Insurance, and what I'm doing is I'm giving you a percentage not to go over. You don't have to spend $3,600 a month, okay? Okay? You don't have to use that much. I'm just telling you, don't go over this. Okay? And then insurance and compliance, 8%. I would actually switch to 2, but I was just trying to hurry up and do something. So 8%, that's $2,400. Okay? And so that is what you want to stay under. And then that admin miscellaneous at 10%, $3,000. So always have a budget of percentages. Once you start spending for like 90 days, then tweak your budget. You may not need 10%. You may only be spending 3%. And then I wouldn't say take it all the way down. I would still maybe do 5. So you'll always have a little reserve in that area, but it doesn't have to be 10%. I'm just saying don't go over that. Okay. I just want you guys to understand. Tonya said, God is moving the wheels on it. God is, girl. Man, God is. So, yeah, common mistakes that people make, people always underestimate staffing. And that's why I make a big point to talk about it, because people don't realize all that, that staffing takes. I talked with a lady, she owns multiple group homes in California, and she booked a call with me because that is her biggest issue. Like, some of the kids she's making $14,000 a month for each kid, but her staffing is eating it. And so I just gave her as much, as many tips as I could to assist her. But people underestimate that. And you can't not pay people. People need, back in the day, people would be like, oh, I can't pay you this week. I know of jobs that did that. I can't pay you. We gonna get you next payday. And people would stay. Oh, people today ain't staying. They like, what? Deuces. So you have to pay people, okay? Turnover, that's a big thing. People leaving, you have to pay at least, a comparable wage to even keep people. And so people underestimate staffing costs all the time. Ignoring the repairs. Like I said, that van, if you keep up the maintenance on your stuff, have people come out, check your AC. We can't play about AC here in Arizona. They can't go an hour. If the AC go out, you got to get them clients out of there. So we can't play about that. So always be thinking about maintenance, your AC, your appliances. If you do maintenance on your appliances, they'll last you longer. Your plumbing. I was given tips on how to keep your plumbing clear, because one thing, when people take a lot of medication, they eat a lot and their bowels are hard. So your plumbing will be jacked up. You always want to have some type of routine to clean those pipes out. This is big. Not having reserves. Not having reserves. You should always at least have 90 days of reserves, especially when you start. 90 days of reserves. And people are always asking me, why do you say 100,000? It doesn't take, because I want you to have reserves. It doesn't take that to start a group home, but it might take that to get you to reimbursement. And so you always want to have at least 90 days of reserves. The longer you're open, then, increase it. Maybe after a year, move to 6 months. After 2 years, move to a year of reserves. But always have reserves, okay? And then new business owners. This is a big common mistake. Mixing those personal funds with those business funds. Keep everything separate. That's why when I start with people in their mentorship, do you have your business set up? No, okay, let's get this set up so you can open a business bank account. And from this point on, do not, whatever you do, even if you write a loan out to yourself, to your business from yourself, do it. So when your business makes that money, you can pay yourself back, but do not mix. Always keep that business money over here and that personal money over here. All right. So, yeah. Y'all should know by now, it ain't just about budgeting. It's not about budgeting. Like I said, what you can't measure, you can't manage. What is management? That's like stewardship. So it's not just about budgeting. It's about stewardship over your business. It's about taking care of business. Taking care of business. Nah. Man, it is about taking care of business. Yeah, and that's what we about. That's what we about. So I did tell you guys that I was gonna go over. My bookkeeper sent me like a list of different expenses. I'm just gonna read them down so you guys can know what I actually pay out for. So advertising and marketing, bank charges, you know, because some bank charge fees for different loans, different accounts, contractors. I do have contractors. My nurse is one of my nurses is a contractor, and counselor. I've had contracted counselor, and I can't remember, but I think that's it. Let's see, groceries, of course, insurance, job supplies, legal and professional services, licenses. She puts that in a separate category. Meals and entertainment, because this is the thing. My clients actually pay rent. A percentage. They have to pay up to 30% of what they bring in. So if it's Social Security, if it's a pension or whatever, you know, one guy, he was getting income from stocks and stuff. They're supposed to pay up to 30%, and that money I use to entertain my clients. So they may go out to eat, they may go bowling, they may go to the movies, whatever. So meals and entertainment. Payroll expenses, postage and shipping is one of them. Repairs and maintenance, software, taxes. That's a big expense, no. Training and utilities, okay? So those are things that are categorized within my business as far as that I spend money on expenses throughout the month. Whew, you don't want to look at my numbers. But yeah, so yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But I hope this was helpful to you guys. I hope that because like I tell people all the time, I can't give you a number because it's too many factors to base it on. And so I can't give you like a definite number. But I hope me breaking it down in percentages gives you guys an idea to say, okay, I'm spending too much on this, or it's okay for me to spend this much on this. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, so I hope it was helpful. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I appreciate you. Don't forget, Tennessee, September 19th and 20th. And also Texas, Frisco or Dallas, Texas, October 4th. All right, you guys? All right. So everybody good? All hearts and minds clear? Well, you guys, y'all have a great evening. And as I always say, be a blessing to someone else. Bye.